Good evening and welcome to Bernlohr Stadium. Permont Field here at Bernlohr Stadium for, to be more correct, Jimmy Field here with you tonight. Capital playing host to Baldwin Wallace and trying to clinch an OAC title in the regular season. It would be the 6th in program history, and all Capital needs to do is tie this game. But of course, we're shooting for that win always. And we'll see if tonight is the night that Capital can return to that top line of the OAC table at year's end, and sets up a interesting week next week with the OAC tournament. Capital has already clinched a first round bye and a home game in the semifinals. They will be either the 1 or 2 seed depending on the results of tonight's game, and we'll see where they end up. Additionally, it is also senior night here at Permont Field at Bernlohr Stadium, honoring 5 seniors tonight: Lauren White, Madeline Woodruff, Avery Hart, Aaliyah Berletic, and Mia Gambasini. 2 of the 5 I just mentioned, Gambasini and Berletic, currently injured and out for the season, unfortunately, but still honored here tonight. And we'll get to see Woodruff, Hart, and White out there on the field. If you missed Wednesday's game, you missed a lot of goals. Heidelberg could not hang with the Comets. It was a 5-0 win for the Comets. It started off kind of weird. Madeline Woodruff scored a goal by a defender trying to clear the ball out of the box, and it went right into her shin and into the top corner of the goal. Something out of a video game almost, it seems, but it happened in real life. And that got Capital going with the first goal. Then a trio of corner kicks came next, and Woodruff on the first one played it short, and Lexi Snyder sent a cross in to Sophia Leonetti, who sent it home. That was in the 18th minute. 15 minutes or so after that, Leonetti, a more traditional reception on a corner kick from Woodruff, and headed it into the box, or into the goal from the box. And then with 7 seconds left in the first half, she completed the hat trick on yet another corner kick, headering it in on the far post. That then led to Avery Hart scoring on a 60th minute goal pass from Lexi Snyder, her second assist of the night, and Avery's 10th goal of the season, and her first here at Bernlohr Stadium finally. After doing a lot of damage on the road, she gets the 10th one, is the one here at home for number 1 on the 2022 campaign. And with that, you had a 5-0 win for Capital, and knocking Heidelberg out of the playoff picture as well. They can technically still get in today. It looks like they're out completely. Baldwin Wallace currently holds down the 6th spot. They're actually tied for 5th with Mount Union, and Wilmington is right there behind them at 3 and 5. Baldwin Wallace and Mount Union both 4 and 4. So a pretty easy matchup for Wilmington tonight. They play Heidelberg, and they're going to kick off tonight. Wilmington earlier this season lost to Baldwin Wallace, but beat Mount Union, so they could still get in a tiebreaker over Mount Union. But they're playing Otterbein tonight. Cap is obviously playing Baldwin Wallace, so 2 tough matchups for the 4 and 4 teams, and the 3 and 5 team that's trying to get in likely going to win tonight. So we'll see how it all shakes out there. John Carroll has secured a spot in the postseason. They have a 5 and 4 record where they finished with 15 points. Otterbein still, as we mentioned, playing Mount Union later. They can still get to the 3 spot, but that's about it for them. They're currently clinched in as well, though, in that 3rd position. I think, actually, yeah, they've clinched that spot. So Otterbein will be 3. John Carroll is currently 4, but could fall to 5 or 6 if Mount Union or Baldwin Wallace pull something off. And then the top 2 is going to be either 1 Capital, 2 ONU, or the reverse of that. So everything's pretty much clear here, and we'll see kind of how things shake out. A quick note on the men as well. They won earlier today at Baldwin Wallace. A big win for them as they clinched the 6th and final playoff spot in the OAC tournament. On the men's side, they will play on Tuesday on the road against a to-be-determined opponent. The game here tonight, though, is about to start. As you can see, both teams making their way to midfield for the announcement of our starting lineups. We'll go to public address, get our national anthem in, and talk some senior night notes and starting lineups when we come back in a few minutes.
once again welcome to Bernlohr Field at Bernlohr Stadium for this evening's Ohio Athletic Conference women's soccer match featuring Baldwin Wallace University and your Cowboy University Comets. Fans, at this time, let's meet tonight's starting lineups. First for the BW Yellow Jackets. Number 4, Anna Wolfinger. Number 5, Carly Beringer. Number 6, Ella Barth. Number 7, Sydney Rice. Number 8, Jillian Neal. Number 10, Paige Ackerman. Number 18, Casey Goluboff. Number 19, Brandy Philippi. Number 25, Mad Farrell. Number 37, Natalie Stewart. And the goalkeeper, number 39, Katie Scott. The Yellow Jackets are led by Jim Woykin and assisted by Lex Manoa and Tyler Marzensky. And now, fans, the starting lineup for your Capital University Comets. At defense, a sophomore from Columbus, number 4, Abby English. At midfield, a senior from Hilliard, number 8, Madeline Woodruff. At defense, a junior from Canal Winchester, number 11, Lexi Snyder. At midfield, a sophomore from Dublin, number 12, Nicole Ogden. At forward, a senior from Pickerington, number 15, Avery Hart. At defense, a junior from Pickerington, number 16, Haley Moore. At defense, a freshman from Gahanna, number 23, Taylor Markham. At midfield, a junior from Westerville, number 25, Sophia Leonetti. At forward, a sophomore from Mayfield, number 27, Francesca Langano. At forward, a sophomore from West Liberty, number 29, Grace Estes. And the goalkeeper for your Comets, a senior from Dublin, number 1, Lauren White. The Comets are led by Matt Ogden in his 8th season and assisted by Megan Wharton and Giovanni Salinas. And now, fans, at this time, we ask you to please rise and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of the national anthem.
And welcome back up into the broadcast booth here at Bernlohr Field at Bernlohr Stadium. Jimmy Bloomfield once again here with you tonight. Senior night, I should say, and a first-place championship in the OAC regular season at stake tonight with Baldwin Wallace in town. You just heard the starters there, but we'll pass them along as well. First for the visiting Yellow Jackets, Katie Scott, the sophomore out of Lewis Center, Ohio. A bit of a homecoming for her tonight. She's in net for the Yellow Jackets. Joining her, Anna Wolfinger, Carly Beringer, Ella Barth, Sydney Rice, Jillian Neal, Paige Ackerman, Casey Goluboff, Brandy Philippi, Maddie Farrell, Natalie Stewart. For Capital, 3 seniors in the starting lineup today, including senior goalkeeper out of Dublin, Ohio, Lauren White. She'll be joined by fellow seniors Madeline Woodruff in the midfield and Avery Hart, of course, at striker. The other 8 for Capital, Abby English at defense, Lexi Snyder at outer back, Cole Ogden in the midfield, Haley Moore is the center back, Taylor Markham will start at the opposite outer back from Snyder, Sophia Leonetti in the midfield as the third midfielder, and 2 wings up top with Hart, Lungano on the right and Estes on the left. That's Francesca Lungano and Grace Estes. Well, we'll see what can happen tonight. Ohio Northern has already played and won, which puts a little bit of pressure on the Comets. They need to at least tie this game. If they tie, they'll finish 7-0-2, the same record as Ohio Northern, which would be good enough for a shared OAC title, and Capital would be the 1 seed in that scenario, thanks to their win over Otterbein and the draw that took place between Ohio Northern and Otterbein. So that very first game of the OAC season for Capital turning out to be one of the bigger ones, that win against the Cardinals. If they win outright, obviously, they'd have more points and the better record. They'd be 8-0-1 through 9 games of OAC action and would win the title outright. Of course, all of that to be decided next weekend. A week from tonight, OAC Championship will be taking place, hopefully here at Bernlohr Stadium, and very likely could see a rematch between the Polar Bears and the Comets a week from tonight. But again, don't want to get ahead of ourselves there, and there's still some business to take care of here at Bernlohr tonight on senior night. The Yellow Jackets are still fighting for a playoff spot themselves. They're currently tied for 5th, so they occupy the 6th spot with Mount Union and Wilmington right on their tails at 3 and 5, and they could still move up to the 4 seed if things break their way with a win here tonight, so they have plenty to play for as well. Capital controlling early possession. They won the coin toss, so they started with the first kick of this one, and they've possessed the ball through about a minute of play. Trying the far end of the field now with Haley Moore in the center back position, and she'll send it upfield trying to find Estes, and it's not going to make it all the way to its intended target. Some other things individually at stake tonight. Avery Hart currently is 5th in goals with 10 in the conference and 3rd with 25 points. We mentioned she had 9 and was tied for this same spot back on Wednesday's broadcast, and it seems like everyone at the top of this conference scored on Wednesday because everybody's just moved up a spot in terms of the amount of goals they've had. Decker and Pederzak with 12, Wilson and Pepper each with 11, and then there's Hart with 10. So a tall mountain to climb. I'm assuming some of these other players will score tonight as well, but Hart trying to win the scoring title, or at least maybe even get into that points conversation. She has 25 points thanks to some of those assists, and right in front of her, Pederzak has 28 and Decker has 29. We've also seen the top 2 shot takers in the OAC in this matchup. Sydney Rice from Baldwin Wallace has taken 98 shots this season. She has scored 8 goals. I'm sorry, 9 goals now. 2 in conference play, 9 on the season, so she's right behind Hart. As Capital trying to win a foot race here. The goalie's way out of position. Lungano is down there, and it's kicked out of bounds by the Yellow Jackets. Almost a very early mishap. But Rice leads the conference with 98 shots. Hart is second with 73. So you have your 2 key players to watch for on each side. Hart, number 15, of course, and on the other side, number 7, the junior, Sydney Rice, who I feel like has been at Baldwin Wallace for 10 years, and she's still only a junior, but she has been a real thorn in the side for this Capital team, and one of the more elite scorers in the conference, no doubt about that, and she's still going to be around next year, unfortunately. Capital's goalkeeping situation as well. Alford, after playing the second half of Wednesday's matchup, moved to .57 GAA, so she's second in the conference, trailing only Ohio Northern's Moss at .47. Lauren White currently 4th in the conference at 1.12. We mentioned the save percentage as well. They're both top 3. Alford first with 88% and White third with 81%. So 2 really good options back there. And Lauren White gets the nod, of course, on senior day. Work on improving those numbers and maybe get another shutout or partial shutout in this one. It'll be interesting to see if we see Alfred again in the second half. And a lot of that depends on what Coach wants to do next week with the OAC tournament. He's used both Alfred and White a lot of minutes this season, and it's a tough call to see where they go from here, if they stick with one, if they continue to rotate, and who exactly is the one that gets the nod if you do go. We have no idea how that will play out, and maybe today we'll glean some insight in that. I think if White plays it out, then it's a big question mark as to who gets the start on Thursday. And if we see White and Alford in this one, I would think they go back to Alford on Thursday night, as it seemed like she had kind of taken the job in the middle third of the conference play, as Cap gets a steal at midfield here. But now White is back in the rotation again, and maybe she's earned the spot back. It's really tough to speculate at this point. Avery Hart takes the shot from outside the box. It goes wide. But not a surprise that Avery starts off the action with the first shot on goal. For what it's worth, Alford's played 628 minutes and 10 seconds this season. 9 games played, 5 started. Lauren White has started all 10 games that she's played, but the minutes at 721.50, so she's only got 100 more minutes in net than Alford does this season. And again, in more recent weeks, we've seen Alford more. Alford a 5-0-1 mark this season, and White is 6-2-1. Both have 3 shutouts, 2 solos, and 1 shared that we saw on Wednesday. Baldwin Wallace with the steal, and we're working up the near side now. There is plenty of space here for Goluboff. And she's still waiting for some help now. Buying time. Moves it across and didn't get a lot on it there. Cap will work to get it out, and then English will just escort it to the sideline. I guess Grace Estes was credited with a shot a couple minutes before that Avery Hart shot, so my mistake there on calling that the first shot of the game. We saw that one that was kind of sent towards the goal, which was, by the letter of the law, a shot from Estes. Then it was kicked out of bounds after the goalie was a little bit out of position there, if you remember that sequence. Cap will try the far end of the field now. Moving from north to south tonight, left to right to start things off. And a steal for Baldwin Wallace again in the midfield. A ball that's sent in front of their striker on the right side. And that's going to be Capital possession. Doesn't go out of bounds, so they'll have to work it up the field, up the far sideline. Snyder tried to shoot one through, and it was stopped by Wolfinger, playing up from the outer back position on the outside of the field up there at the far end zone. Or far sideline, I should say. And English will get the pass from White to resume play for Capital now. White upfield looking for Hart. Aggressive tackle there by Ackerman. And now booted away with some help from Behringer. That is going to stay in balance on the far end of the field. Snyder defending. And she'll kick it out of bounds. 8 minutes have gone by. No score so far in this one. 2 shots for Capital, none for the opposition. Here's a shot that is going to go wide now for the Yellow Jackets. Coming into play in the conference games only, Baldwin Wallace averages 1.63 goals per game. That ranks 7th in the conference. It's been high scoring this year. And in terms of GAA, the same 1.63 mark. That's 13 goals for, 13 against in 8 games. They are 5th in that measure. Capital is 3rd. They've allowed just 4 goals in 8 games in conference play, 0.5 GAA. They've scored 24, which is the most per game at 3.0. If they score 3 goals in this game, they'll have more than Ohio Northern did in their in their 9 games, as they've played their 9th already this afternoon. White comes up with possession for Capital there. No real threatening shot from Baldwin Wallace. And it'll be played upfield now by Capital on the near side. Taylor Markham, who's solidified her spot on the outer back. They were looking for answers there with senior Aaliyah Berletic not able to finish the season after injury in the 5th game this year. Some notes on Aaliyah, as it is senior night. She played in 49 career games with Capital, 30 starts. Scored 5 goals with 2 assists and actually had a game winner earlier this season against Dickinson College in one of the 5 games that she played this season. That was the 3rd game of the season, the first here at Bernlohr when Capital won 1-0, and then she got injured in the Hanover game. Hart has it for Capital here, works it to Woodruff. Woodruff takes the shot, and a save is made. Scott was ready to make the stop, and with good positioning is able to end the threat. Capital has one other injured senior, Mia Gambasini, which might sound like a common or familiar name to a lot of you guys over the years here. She has played in 41 games, 21 starts in her career. She was injured in the preseason, unfortunately. Wasn't able to play at all this year, but in her previous 3 years, she had scored 3 goals and 4 assists as well. Mia was also named Academic All-Conference twice through her career here at Capital. The other 3 seniors will pass some of their stats along now, as it's a clear handball on Moore, protecting herself from getting hit in the face. We'll start with White. With 4 saves tonight, she would reach 150 for her career. She has 146 in 48 games played. Madeline Woodruff has made now 33 starts. She scored 10 goals and had 9 assists, and was also all OAC second team her sophomore year. She missed nearly a year for an injury throughout her career here as well, and is having a really strong senior year, which is great for her. And then lastly, of course, is Avery Hart. She has scored 30 goals and 13 assists in 59 games. So she averages, as White falls on top of that one, she averages a goal every 2 games, better than that, which is really impressive. She was named the OAC Freshman of the Year and is a 2-time All-OAC recipient. She was also an All-Region selection last season as a junior, and she was also twice named Academic All-Conference as well through her time here. Madeline Woodruff, for what it's worth as well, also had 2 Academic All-OAC awards, and Lauren did as well. Lauren White, 2 Academic All-Conference awards as well. So doing good in the classroom as well as on the field, and that's always great. And of course, Hart is trying to, it's pretty much a lock for an All-OAC selection, whether it's honorable first or second team, but you would think with the first place team, maybe a chance at All-OAC Player of the Year as well, as the other 2 big-time scorers that we mentioned, Petterzak and Pepper from Mount Union, and Decker, and Petterzak from Mount Union, John Carroll, respectively. Both those teams kind of in the middle of the conference, whereas Hart is the leader of his team that, if all things go well tonight, will be the conference champs. So you would think that does steal away some awards. Here's a nice play made by a Baldwin Wallace striker. That was Farrell, who stole the ball away from Abby English, delivered a shot right at Lauren White, and Lauren has been busy in this game. And while she has not been credited for a save yet, that will be the first one there. She stops Maddie Farrell at the doorstep. A nice save made by White. But, yeah, not openly campaigning, of course, for Avery. But, yeah, I mean, her numbers are there, and the team is 7-0-1 entering tonight. I think there's some legitimate consideration for All-OAC Player of the Year. And that would be cool to start as the Freshman of the Year and then 4 years later take it home as the Conference Player of the Year overall. Avery Hart's fouled as we speak of her. And it'll be a set piece from about 50 yards away here from Capital. Hart is starting to play a lot more closer to the play. She usually was kind of just way out in front of this attack, and she's starting to drop back more into the midfield, which is an interesting change. Of course, it leads her to be away from the play sometimes because she's playing back, and she's not always up front there with the action for goal scoring, that is, because she's helping out, whether that be setting up teammates and things of that nature. It's probably why we've seen her assist numbers go through the roof this season. She's not much of an assist giver her first few years, but now gets the pass in the box. She goes down. That's got to be a foul. No whistles there. Hart taken down in the box, but no whistle for the penalty kick. He may have caught a break there, if you ask me. Now we'll foul at midfield, and they're going to call it against Capital, and the crowd's starting to get into it a little bit. So, yeah, Hart has 5 assists this season, and in the previous 3 years combined, she had 8. So that kind of speaks to that. And the assists have come recently as well. It's not like she had the assists early in the season. Her first assist was on October 5th. She had 2 in that game, 2 on the 12th, and 1 on the 15th. So all of them have come in the month of October. Cap gets the ball back now after some of the fouls that we saw there. So in 59 games, the first 52 if you take it that way, 52 games she had 8 assists, and in the last 7 games she has 5 assists. So that speaks to the point I was making, that Hart has been coming back to the play, being more involved in the midfield, which has led to her, 1, playing better defense and helping out in that regard. And then 2, she's getting her teammates more involved as well. That's why we've seen some of this periphery scoring as well step up. And Capital seems to have hit a new level as we move through OAC play. Estes with the shot, and it goes just wide. Beat the keeper and looked like it was headed into the net, but it went wide to the left. A good shot from Grace, but just misses. Estes with 3 goals this season. Ogden also has 3. You have Zagaro and Woodruff now with 4 each. Leonetti has 6 after her hat trick. And then Hart, of course, with 10. And Hart is offsides on the pass here from Estes. So 6 players with at least 3 goals and 4 with at least 4 for this Capital team. And you're going to need a lot of scoring to win not only the OAC tournament, but if you want to make some noise in NCAAs, if you end up qualifying, it's going to have to be more than just Hart and more than just Hart and some others. Well, 1 or 2 others. They're going to need scoring from pretty much anyone on the field, and basically everyone on the field can. I mean, Lexi Snyder can score a goal, and she's playing as an outer back. Someone that could move up with some of the depth that Capital has had to try at outer back with Berletic going down. We've seen Markham, we've seen Pelletier there, and there could be some situations in which Snyder plays up to try to get some of that scoring. But the midfield is the real story there. 6 from Leonetti and 4 from Woodruff and 3 from Ogden. You should have 13 goals from your starting midfielders. And Zagaro comes off the bench. She has 4 goals in 15 games. So, I mean, you've got scoring pretty much at every level. Markham with 2 and Snyder has been really good on the opposite side. Hart takes the shot. It goes off of her teammate and into the net. It goes off of the Baldwin Wallace defender, and that left the goalie with no chance. That's what I meant by teammate, as it hits Behringer on its way in. I think for what it's worth, the shot would have gone home anyway from Avery Hart. But it hit off of Behringer, and Scott, just to get the announcement there, Scott had dove to the right to make the save. It hit off Behringer and went to the keeper's left. Scott had no chance. Tough break. And Avery Hart with goal number 11 on the season, right on cue, as we've talked that she has been so vital to this team as their leading scorer and deserving of the All-OAC honors. And that's only going to help her case. Puts Capital ahead 1-0. And now Baldwin Wallace playing kind of upfield here, as they're uphill, as they're trying to tie this game back up, already facing a 1-0 deficit. Outshot 5-2 in the game's first 19 minutes, and it ends with Avery Hart's 11th goal of the season. Way too good of a field position for Hart there to take that shot. Cannot let her get that close to the goalie, and no chance for Scott. I believe that shot would have gone in, regardless of if it ricocheted off the defender or not. Logano trying to run that one down, and it's cleared away. But after that shot hit Behringer, Scott had absolutely no chance to make that save. And Avery Hart makes Baldwin Wallace pay with some help from the defense. And it is 1-0 now, Capital. 25-26 to play. Markham playing way up here, trying to get it right back to Avery. And she'll throw it in now from the near sideline. Thrown in now to Hart, and she had a little bit of a wiggle there, then tried to get through into the box. She has had a lot of possession deep in front of the goalie, as she also had that foul a few minutes ago that wasn't called when she went down in the box. Baldwin Wallace clears, sends up field, and Haley Moore will collect for Capital. And this is a Capital team that has conceded just 4 goals all OAC season. 4 in the last 8 games. So it's not going to be easy to get 1, and it's certainly not going to be easy to get 2 for Baldwin Wallace. We might have some Polar Bear fans out there listening and scoreboard watching to see if they can come away with the 1 seed. They need some help from these Yellow Jackets, and they're not getting it to this point. Free kick coming for Capital. Big day on campus here after the OAC tournament next week. We will have a big day on November 12th. Women's basketball will get things going against Kenyon College. 7 o'clock start. And we'll also have senior day for the football program playing Heidelberg. So a couple big events coming up in 2 weeks on November 12th. We hope you can join us for those. Collision on the far end of the field, but they'll keep play alive. And across to the midfield now. English got the first touch on it, but Baldwin Wallace collects. Another through ball headed away by Leonetti. Nice play by her defensively, filling for English, who had played up there. And Cap will be able to reset their defense now as the ball goes out of bounds. The men's home opener comes on November 19th, the following weekend against Olivet. And the men are actually in action right now with Dayton, of course, the alma mater of Coach Goodwin. And we'll see how they fare in the exhibition game with the Flyers. Avery Hart passes this one to Logano into the box. Logano turns and shoots, and a save is made by Scott. Coach Goodwin, Damon Goodwin, of course, a UD Hall of Famer and a former teammate of Flyers' current head coach, Anthony Grant. So some familiar foes going at it. The Flyers are currently ranked 24th in the AP poll and are the preseason favorite to win the A10. And they return all 5 starters from a team that finished 24-11 last season, 14-4 record last season in conference play for them. So obviously don't expect Capital to win that game or anything, but always a great experience to get to play a D1 opponent and make the trip to a UD arena. That's a really cool experience for them. Dayton's home opener is November 7th, for what that's worth. And getting the interface ready, it says on my screen here, Dayton currently leading Capital 25-10. Griffin Dosick leads with 5 points for Capital. And on the Dayton side, Tuman Camara, their starting center, 7 points, 4 rebounds already. And Kobe Elvis, with 3 assists for the Flyers. So we'll keep an eye on that and pass along some scores. Kind of a cool thing there when you get some D1 exposure to some of these players, and definitely a cool experience with Coach Goodwin playing against his former teammate on the other side as the other coach. Woodruff controls for Capital. Working on a give and go. Backheel pass. Didn't make it to her. But we'll set Capital up with a throw in on the far side of the field. Baldwin Wallace doesn't allow anything off of that. Lizzie Elliott getting ready to check in for Capital. Likely will replace Estes. And for Baldwin Wallace, they have 2 subs as well getting ready to come on to the field. Looks like number 22, that'd be Mary Litzinger, and number 13, Sydney Mudge. Markham gets the steal on the near side to end that threat from Baldwin Wallace. Deposits it out of bounds, and the aforementioned subs coming on. Lizzie Elliott does indeed replace Estes on the far end of the field on the left flank of Avery Hart. .19:23 and counting left in the first half. Still 1-0 Capital on the strength of the goal from Avery Hart. We're waiting for the rest of the OAC to also sort itself out for next week's tournament. A lot of key games on the schedule. And let's see if we can get any updates from those games as a throw-in for Capital deep in the near sideline here. Baldwin Wallace with a steal, and it's on the foot of Rice, and Rice goes down in the box, and we'll have to pause on the scores because we've got a big moment in this game. Sydney Rice, an elite scorer for the Yellow Jackets, and she gets taken down in the box, and this one does get the whistle for a free kick, penalty kick for Sydney Rice. She will execute the kick herself here. Big moment for White, and tries to keep this game in Capital's favor. Rice looking for goal number 10 of the season to tie this game up. Shot into the back of the net. That was actually Jillian Neal, who executed that shot, not Sydney Rice. And Jillian Neal makes that decision pay off as Neal scores and ties the game at 1. That's Ella Barth, number 6. Sorry, not 8 on the numbering there. Very tough to read the numbers on these jerseys here. I apologize. So it's Ella Barth who executes the free kick instead of Sydney Rice. An interesting decision, and it pays off. As for Barth, it's her 3rd goal of the season. But obviously they liked her matchup on the PK there, and Sydney Rice draws the foul, and Barth scores for Baldwin Wallace. We are tied at 1 apiece, and things just got interesting here. Now Rice with another pass. And a shot, this time it's blocked off the foot of Maddie Farrell again. She's been loose a few times in this game. Thrown in again to Rice. And a ball that's chipped forward by Brandy Philippi and collected by Lauren White. White will let her team get downfield as Cap tries to get some momentum back in this game. Credit the Yellow Jackets for sticking with it, and Rice draws the foul in the box for her teammate Barth to tie this game. And Litzinger has it now for B-Dub kicks it out of bounds off of Capital. And the Capital Comets look like they're a little bit shell-shocked from the goal there. This is a team not used to allowing goals, especially in conference play. We mentioned only 4 allowed all OAC season. And that's the first goal they've allowed since October 15th. And only the second goal here at, or I'm sorry, that was here at this game, that was here as well. I was going to say the second at home, but several other goals have been allowed at home this season, the 2 against Ohio Northern. So the 4th one in 4 home games. They've allowed 1 to Otterbein, and they've allowed 2 to Ohio Northern, 1 to Mount Union. Every other game was a shutout in conference play. And as I said, the first goal they've allowed since October 15th. Since the tie to Ohio Northern, Capital has outscored the opposition 13-1 entering tonight. So make it 14-2 now. Throwing for Capital on the near side. And it just looks stagnant right now. Capital needs to get some momentum back on their side. The penalty kick is interesting because next week there is no tie in the conference tournament and in the NCAAs. PKs are kind of that lingering thing in the back of your minds, and you've got to work on them on both sides, both scoring and stopping. And it adds another layer to that who's the goalie going to be question next week. If a game comes into PKs, which goalie is defending the net for Capital? I don't know. I've never seen a real situation where you see like a rotation of goalies based on the opposition. I don't know. To me, again, it's kind of the same thing to me as it is for the actual who's your goalie starting the game question. You got to pick someone and stick with them if you're asking me, but I'm not the coach. And if it's a 2-goalie system, that's what coach decides, and better mind than me. But I'm of the theory that you'd have one and stick with them, and that's when the PKs kind of come to question. If you see someone allow a few, do you make the change and bring in a more than capable second option, whoever that second option may be? Maybe someone's better suited for PKs than being a goalie during the game. It's 2 different types as Cap gets fouled from behind. Might see a yellow here. No card, but a foul against the Yellow Jackets. And maybe we see something where there is a specialist for the PKs. It's really tough to speculate in what the decisions are, but it does add another complicating layer to that question. And the PK could determine the fate of the season for the Comets, and that's the harsh reality that many of these teams face, as we see very many seasons come to end on penalty kicks, whether it's in the conference tournament or in the NCAA tournament. Cap making their other sub at the wing position, this time on the right of Hart, replacing Longano is Zigaro. Throw into Hart. Hart loses possession in the box there, and Baldwin Wallace will clear it out. We were going to mention some other scores in the OAC, and we are yet again not able to yet, as Lissinger has it for Baldwin Wallace. And a pass to the left side. Will get to Barth, and then Barth dribbled it out of bounds through the end zone. So a goal kick coming. Some self-inflicted wounds there as Cap catches a break. And Baldwin Wallace gives them the goal kick. So we do have some other big games in conference. We'll start with Heidelberg and Wilmington. That game is currently a 0-0 game. John Carroll won earlier today 7-1 over Muskingum. So again, they finished 5-4 this season. And Ohio Northern defeated Marietta 5-0. Final score there as well. Heidelberg and Wilmington are in the 22nd minute right now. And if Wilmington wants to win or wants to get into the playoffs, they have to win that game and get some help. So the first step is them winning, and it's currently 0-0. So not getting the first part of that done. A pass to Hart right now. Hart! Oh, man, that just misses the far post from her position on the right post. She puts her hands on her head. Can't believe it. Shot came from the left side. Tried to swing it across to the far post from her perspective to the right of the shooter, and it went just wide. The other part of the equation for Wilmington, they need some help from Capital and Otterbein. Otterbein's the bigger one. They have a tiebreaker with Mount Union, so if they get the Mount Union loss against Otterbein, then they would pull into a tie with Mount Union and actually pass them because of the head-to-head there. So if Capital and Baldwin Wallace, the result goes with the Baldwin Wallace win here tonight as well, and it's a three-way tie. I'm not sure which two teams come on top of that scenario, as Baldwin Wallace has defeated Wilmington this season. And it'll come down to the three-way tiebreaker. Two of the three would get in. The easiest scenario for Wilmington that they're hoping for tonight is a win, and a win for the Cardinals over Mount Union. And checking on that score right now, it is also senior day for Otterbein, and the stats weren't coming through on the website because they're not coming through on Otterbein's website, so we don't know what the score is over in Westerville, and hopefully we can pass the score along at some point when we check in at our next score update. Another ball sent to the net here by Capital. This time Scott falls on top of it and doesn't allow any kind of follow-up there from Capital. I don't know if they're credit Hart with the shot there or not. She has 3 shots already, and they did give her credit for a 4th there, and Katie Scott will pick up a save as a result. So Scott with her 4th save already. 4 shots for Hart, and still Capital on the attack here. Markham trying to keep this in play, and she is unable to. Had some side spin towards the sideline there, and it rolled over that sideline, not allowing her to play that there. Throw in to Avery Hart, who turns to her left, passes too far out in front of Zagaro. Cap is trying to get that one back on the PK that they allowed to tie this game. Ogden with the header here. Woodruff plays to Markham, and then it's taken away by Litzinger. Now stepping in is Leonetti, and she passes it to Haley Moore, who walks it across the field, across into Baldwin Wallace territory. Now Haley's down. Oh, no. I don't know if it was an ankle or a knee there for Moore, but she twisted something bad and is writhing in pain right now. She's actually pounding the floor with her hand. I can see it. Oh, no. Lexi Snyder has come over and is kind of consoling her right now as the training staff is coming out now for Capital. And obviously an injury at this point of the season is killer if it's anyone. But a key defender for Capital in Haley Moore is down right now. Left leg injury for sure. And obviously have no idea what the seriousness of it is, but she is still down and is in pain. And we'll step away for just a minute here at Bernlohr. So Moore will make her way to the bench here and is unable to put any weight on her left leg right now. She's hopping with the trainer on each side of her, coming to midfield, or coming to the sideline. So Pelletier is going to come back into the game now as a defender here. She's been that kind of fifth option at defense. And it'll be interesting to see how they use this alignment with the center back out. You have English, obviously, who can anchor the middle, and we might have to see Snyder come into the middle. The other option is you just go to 3 defenders and put Markham in the midfield. It looks like they're going to bring Snyder into the middle, which feels like the right thing to do. You obviously would miss some of her offense. She had 2 assists on Wednesday, for example. But you do need that solid center back position filled with Moore coming to the sideline. Hard to tell if it's a left knee or a left ankle for Moore, but it's something that is not allowing her to put weight on her left side. And obviously just feel horrible for her. And from the team's perspective as well, it's a giant loss. And losing a center back anchor for your defense that we've been talking about the goals allowed this season and how good the goalies are. Some of that is a credit to the defense as well. And Moore, after she passed it, kind of awkwardly landed on her left leg when she crossed midfield. And those non-contact kind of injuries to your leg always worry. So hopefully she's able to play next week, or at least in the NCAAs. Avery Hart is held here, literally, and that will set it up a free kick now for Capital, which will be taken by Markham. I believe. No, I'm sorry. That's Woodruff who will be executing this kick for Cap. Off to her left is Pelletier. So Pelletier is playing in the spot of Snyder, who moved over for Moore. Good ball from Woodruff, and once again it's Leonetti who headers it out of bounds. She had 3 goals in the game on Wednesday with 3 assists from Woodruff on corner kicks. This one was a set piece, but almost a very similar, familiar result from what we've seen this season. Or what we've seen on Wednesday, I should say. Leonetti now back into the midfield. She headers this one down on the free kick. Markham tries to play it back to her. Leonetti still defending hard here. Pass goes to the left, and it's going to get to the right target there, as checking in for Baldwin Wallace was Bailey Hall. And Hall was the one who started that run here for Baldwin Wallace. Capital quickly shuts it off. And Avery Hart with a header out in front of herself, and she's going to have a lot of space. Hart in a foot race with Ackerman. And Ackerman gets back into the picture. Hart with a big dribble and then a collision with the defender as she tried to punch it through on a cross to Ogden, and Ogden is going to be called for a foul. A lot of action there for no actual result on the scoreboard. Big steal for Cap on the far side of the field. A ball that's sent out in front of Hart. Too much juice on it from Lizzie Elliott. Under 7 to play. Before that injury to Moore, which kind of obviously has slowed down the game again, Cap was kind of in a relentless pressure mode on this end of the field and seemed to be almost there to break through for that second goal, but that momentum has kind of slowed itself again. Team is definitely playing with more energy again. There was a few minutes of a kind of a lull in their offensive rhythm, resulting from that penalty kick scored against them. I think a little bit of a shell shock effect there, as we mentioned. But they were able to get some possession and things back into their favor there, and certainly were generating some really good chances on the right side of our screen. And they haven't been able to get that going again since the injury to Moore. It's kind of slowed down that pace again. 6 minutes left to play in the half. Obviously would like to go in the locker room with the lead, but if not, It's going to come down to adjustments. Cap does just need to tie to remember to win the conference. So not that they're playing for one, but if it did come down to that at the end of the night, all they need is the tie to get that home first seed in home field in the tournament. A shot from Zugaro, save made. Avery Hart on the rebound. It's loose. Hart weaves around a defender, passes it off, keeps the play alive. A shot and a save made by Scott. Excellent plays by Scott. Excellent job by Hart to keep the sequence alive. And after a scramble on the shot from Zugaro, another nice save made at the end of the sequence there off Lizzie Elliott. And Scott keeps this thing equal. Hart had headed it away from the goal, and it looked like she was going to have an easy goal. And the defense just kind of collapsed on her. She had to play it off. She did. And it got Scott back into the position in time to make a save. Now Sydney Rice takes a shot, and she beats White. Sydney Rice with the left foot, and she puts it past White. 2-1. The Yellow Jackets flip the script completely now, and they lead in this game with 5 minutes left in the half. Sydney Rice, one of the best scorers in this conference, and a very impressive goal there. Gives her her 10th of the season and gives Capital a deficit in this game. 2-1. They had allowed 4 goals all season in conference coming into this game. They've only allowed 2 goals in a game 3 times this season. I'm sorry, more than 2 goals are, yeah, they've only allowed 2 goals 3 times this season, and they've done it in a half here. And they faced their first deficit in OAC play since the Ohio Northern game. And almost another one here for the Yellow Jackets. And actually, going back to the Ohio Northern game, they scored the first goal. It was then 1-1, and then Capital scored the second goal. So they never trailed in that game. And going back to the Otterbein game, they scored first in that game as well. So Capital has never trailed in OAC play until that goal from Sydney Rice in the first half of Game 9. A cross, and White will make the save here. Coach Ogden is sitting on his stool, arms crossed. You can kind of see him there at the bottom of your screen. And he's just looking at this, thinking what just went wrong in the last 20 minutes. The Yellow Jackets playing with a lot of energy right now. And like we said, they're trying to clinch a spot in the postseason. They could move up to as high as 4 and potentially get a home game in the first round. They have a lot to play for in this game. And after Capital comes out with the first goal, you think, okay, this one seems to be well in hand as well already. Capital is just going to keep going with how things have gone for them this season. Not the case. And a yellow card has been issued as Leonetti goes down hard here for Capital. And just a lot of shock right now, I think, is the best way to say it. These games are always tough with Baldwin Wallace. It seems like we always play them the last game of the year. And basketball as well kind of has a rivalry with them a little bit. They always play kind of those low-scoring, grind, physical basketball games on the women's side. And the soccer games are sometimes no different. The Yellow Jackets play this team well, and they have lived up to the challenge so far. And it put Cap in a really interesting position, down by a goal. And the first adversity this team has seen since September, really. And it'll be really interesting to see how they respond. That looked like it hit the hand of Hart. Cap might have got away with one there. Markham will throw it in. Coach Woykin for Baldwin Wallace hounding the officials for missing that one. and I do believe he missed it. Throw in from Markham. Goes to Zugaro. Markham loses it. Oh, out of bounds off of Baldwin Wallace. Thrown in. Headered again. And Hart will control for Cap. Now she loses it. Good defense on the other side from Ackerman. And a ball that's sent deep into Capital zone and out of bounds. 1:30 to play. The Polar Bear fans out there definitely more intrigued by this one now that Cap is losing. The 7-0-2 Ohio Northern Polar Bears looking to take the conference away from Capital. Comes into this one at 7-0-1. Ball sent upfield and controlled by Baldwin Wallace. Ella Barth goes down and a super late whistle. There is a really large contingent of fans here from Baldwin Wallace. They're down in front of us, so you might hear them more than the Cap fans, but it's only because of the position of the fact that they're down here in front of us and in the booth. They've got one of the 4 sections here. There's 5 or 6 sections here, actually, but they got one strong one below us, and they didn't like the move there. Ackerman, a ball that bounces through. They tried to screen White, and she was able to find the ball through the crowd, as that was on target from Ackerman. 13 seconds left for Hart. She's got to go. 10, 9 seconds, and it's going to go into the corner and kicked out of bounds. That'll be it. So after Capital gets the first goal of the night, looks like we're cruising to that unbeaten season in conference play. That's not to be the case. Sydney Rice sets up a penalty kick by getting fouled in the box, and her teammate Ella Barth finishes it. And then to get the second one, just an incredible individual play by Sydney Rice, and she kicks it with the off foot to beat Lauren White in the corner of the net and puts the Yellow Jackets ahead 2-1. And Capital not only facing their first deficit of the season, an injury to one of their defenders, and it's going to be an interesting locker room conversation with 14 minutes and 38 seconds until we resume play here at Bernlohr. We'll take a timeout as well and see what half number 2 has in store for us here at Bernlohr Field at Bernlohr Stadium. 2-1 Baldwin Wallace, the lead at the half. Well, there's 45 more minutes left to decide this one tonight, and this is going to be a good one, I think. We still have 48 seconds left until halftime is over per the clock in the on the scoreboard, and the officials have just now got out of the locker room. You see them there at the bottom of your screen, so that's the reason why you see the teams lined up, and the officials aren't. And I don't know. Maybe Capital's ready to get that bad taste out of their mouth. Their first deficit in OAC play, as I mentioned. And we'll see what kind of changes are made with the injury to Haley Moore. That changes things dynamically for Capital. And now just down on the scoreboard, they're going to have to create something else here and try to find ways to level this game first and get the lead back afterwards. Sydney Rice with the goal and the PK that's set up by her foul. She's been the difference in this game. Avery Hart with the goal for Capital. The Stars have showed out in this one. Snyder stays in as the center back in Haley Moore's position, and Pelletier is going to be the outer back on the far side. Markham the outer back on the near side. So Markham, in effect, by staying on the near sideline, doesn't switch sides. With you'd expect her to move to the other side of the field as the field switched, but she did not. She stayed in the same spot. So she's on the left side of the Capital attack now, if you want to call it attack, as the outer back in front of the goalkeeper. So she's to the goalie's left. She started on the goalie's left. She remains on the goalie's left. And Pelletier is going to be on the right side. I'm sorry, she started on the right and will come to the left side, so she switches by staying on the same side. It's confusing, and I'm confusing myself all just trying to describe this. But she started on the right side, and Snyder was on the left side of the goalie. Now Snyder has moved into Moore's spot. Markham has basically filled Snyder's spot on the outside, and then the spot vacated by Markham has been filled now by Pelletier on the far side of the field, on the right of the goalie. Everything else is the same for Capital in terms of their starting 11. Estes and Logano back in there to the left and right of Hart, respectively. Markham has it on the near side, and it gets kicked right off of the face of the Baldwin Wallace defender there, Natalie Stewart. She's a little bit slow to get up, but appears to be fine. That does not feel good at all, and will lead to a throw-in here for Capital. Actually, they're going to just bounce it into play. Markham will play it back. And Snyder now kicks it upfield over the head of Estes. Hart keeps it alive, and she'll try to win a foot race against Behringer. She does, and now tries to cut inside on Behringer. In the box, cuts back to the left of Behringer, and now sends it off of the body of Ackerman. So Woodruff will have a corner now for Capital, and she had to sprint all the way to the fence line to get the ball there. Leonetti has been the target for Capital here on these. She is on the far post. They look for her again, and it's loose. Leonetti trying to get a ball through, and off of the field goal upright, I believe that hit a Yellow Jacket on its way through. Grace Estes with the shot there on the weak side follow-up, and it hit off of a Baldwin Wallace player, hit the field goal upright. Leonetti had a really good chance at that ball. It hit her first, hit the defender, was down on the mat. She tried to kick it in. It got blocked, and it went out to Estes. Now from the other side, the corner kick, headed by the Yellow Jackets, and they will clear with a second header. Cap tries to keep it alive. Woodruff sends it back in on a cross. It's miskicked, and now cleared again. Pelletier first to it, and Pelletier will swing it around to the defense. Snyder from the center back. What can she do with it? Dribbles upfield. Plays it to the left side, Markham. Markham to Estes with a nice move. Estes centers. Avery Hart in a good position, and a save is made. Unbelievable save by Scott. Avery Hart absolutely robbed. Excellent pass and set up from Estes. That should have been a goal. And just a phenomenal save by Scott, who has made 7 now. Another corner. Leonetti with the header, and it goes wide. Already Baldwin Wallace will bring Mary Litzinger back into the play, and I believe she's going to replace Stewart. Stewart was the player that was hit in the face. And coming out with a smile on her face, at least. I think she's fine. And they'll bring Litzinger in. She's telling the bench and hit her in the top of the head now. So that's good that it didn't catch her in the nose or anything like that. Cap has turned up the pressure here, and you can tell they want number 2 early in this half. Ogden passes it far sideline. Markham making a run, and Taylor's going to get there. Markham with a nice move one-on-one. She dribbles it into the box, looking for some help on a cross, takes the shot, and it goes off the side of the net. No options there for her opened up after she was able to move her way through. Set up field now at midfield. Ogden off of the body of a Baldwin Wallace player. And on the goal kick, it's controlled by Baldwin Wallace. Now chipped to midfield, trying to find Rice, who's being marked by both English and Snyder. On the far end now, Longano showing off some footwork. Leonetti, left-footed, out in front of Ogden. Space to operate. Ogden goes wide. Estes cuts inside. Estes has a chance now, developing. Takes the shot from outside of the box. It hits off of the Baldwin Wallace player. And Estes may be a little off balance when she went to wind up for that shot. Now Lexi will bring it back for Capital. Snyder continuing to just weave through the defense. Markham now plays it to Ogden. Markham gets thrown to the ground. Now the ball's out in front of Estes. Maybe they play on the advantage here. Estes crosses, and it's headed out of the box. Ogden controlling for Capital. Trying to at least. Woodruff trying to help out. And the ball is sent to the far end of the field now. Pelletier's playing way up. And it goes over everybody's head for Capital. Leonetti has to run it down and send it all the way back to White, who stayed in the game, by the way, at halftime. Obviously, they switched on Wednesday and brought Alford in, but they do not today. English with a bomb up the far side. Pelletier puts it into high gear to try to run this thing down, and L wins a corner kick for Capital. Oh, no, she didn't. I guess that didn't touch the defender. It really looked like it hit off of Ackerman from our angle. Of course, we're 70 yards away. But goes out of bounds for a goal kick. Pelletier is one of the fastest players on this team. She showed it off there. Baldwin Wallace looking to make another change as Farrell is getting ready to come back in. 37-26 to play, and it really feels like Baldwin Wallace is just clinging to this one-goal lead. Another shot that goes just over the crossbar by Longano. Capital outshooting the Yellow Jackets 17-6. Baldwin Wallace makes their sub, and now play will resume here shortly. Here we go. Goal kick. Sent to midfield. It's short of midfield, and Cap will control once again. Ogden with the through ball that gets knocked down on its way through. Leonetti with the steal. Kicked out of bounds. Baldwin Wallace hasn't done anything this half other than just trying to keep the ball away from their own net, and it haven't been all that successful on it, honestly. Capital's controlled possession and has controlled the shots in this second half, and Baldwin Wallace hasn't been able to generate anything. Capital already with 6 shots in the first 9 minutes. They had 11 in the first half. Baldwin Wallace had 6 all of the first half. And again, in the last 9 minutes, Capital has already equaled that number with 6 of their own. Estes is playing out of her mind this half already. Passes it to Hart. Clean tackle there by B-Dub. Hart collects again. Hart still has it. Now she loses it. Leonetti. Ogden. It's still alive here. Estes spinning inside. Ball's kicked away from her. She'll have to play it back. Markham has it again. Markham now sends it in. Off the foot of Woodruff. Not on the same page with Hart. Haven't said that lately, as those two have been on the same page. And a foul is called against B-Dub, which sets up a set piece here for Capital. Woodruff will execute this one from 40 yards away from the net. Likely looking for a touch from someone in front. Keep an eye on number 25. Woodruff. Line drives it towards the net, and it goes through wide for a goal kick. Mangano controls for Capital as we will regroup for yet another push. 34 minutes to play. 2-1 B-Dub despite being outshot by over 12. Well, by 12, 18-6. Pass from Ogden, didn't make it through. Snyder knocks it down for Capital. Snyder with the left foot trying to find someone down there. Estes was in the area. Woodruff now helping. Woodruff makes the play on the ball here. And a takedown called against Maddie. Not only is B-Dub trying to play spoiler on senior night, but trying to play spoiler in the standings as well, as Capital would fall to the 2 seed after holding the number 1 spot in the conference the entire way through. This is a hungry team trying to win this conference. You can tell just the urgency that they've come out of the locker room with. Markham. So Markham hits it with her hand and then put her hand down in such a way that it was obvious she hit it with her hand. And if she was trying to play it cool, she did the opposite. And that got a really late whistle from the officiating crew, as they were going to let that go, but the way that Markham tried to play it off, she actually, it was obvious that it was a handball. It was a weird play. Ball is crossed and has so much side spin on it, it moves all the way through the box and misses the first 2 or 3 targets before it goes all the way out of bounds. Sydney Mudge checks back in for the Yellow Jackets. Foul against B-Dub now. Snyder has it for Capital. Snyder hits on the Jets, gets up the far sideline. Markham keeps it alive. I think that went out of bounds. Snyder there to follow it up and gets it to Markham. That's a really good pass. Markham has control of it on the near sideline. She's good one-on-one. She crosses and finds the foot of a B-dub player. Headered back in, headered back out. And now Ogden will header it another time. Leonetti trying to control, and it comes all the way out to the striker. B-dub playing back, and they'll kick it out of bounds off of Capital. A steal here from Logano on the throw-in, and it's kicked out of bounds off of the Yellow Jackets this time. 2-1, Yellow Jackets in front. An update from the men's exhibition game, down 41-15 at halftime to the number 24 ranked Division I opponent in Dayton, an exhibition game there. Still an awesome experience, no matter how that ends up. Woodruff with the shot, left foot, it's going to go wide. Tried to put it in the upper left corner of the net. Shots are now 19-6. Woodruff with 3 shots of those 19. And still an excellent game from Katie Scott to this point. She's made 19, I'm sorry, of the 19 shots she's faced, she's made 7 saves, not 19. Scott will drill it forward again. Woodruff, Leonetti, Ogden, and Snyder. Snyder finally controls of the 5 in the area for Capital. Markham tried to feed one through, knocked down. Snyder steps in front. Ogden and Snyder work together. Snyder gets it out wide, and here comes Markham now. Markham has options to her left, goes that way. It's Grace Estes now working one-on-one, crosses, trying to find Hart. Doesn't get through, tries to control, cleared away by B-Dub again. Snyder comes hopping into the play, and she's got to be careful now. She is playing as a center back, and Snyder kicks it out of bounds and maybe delivers a little shove on the way. Woodruff trying to get involved in that throw-in. It goes into an empty space in the field. Leonetti with the win, and then a clean tackle after. Headed up in the air by the center back. Hart steps in front of Ackerman. And now Ackerman trips Hart, and that should be a yellow. It's not going to be. It's just a foul. Getting a little chippy in this one. That's always makes it a little bit more fun, to be honest. Abby English will take this free kick. Alexi's in the area too, though. So it might be Snyder, actually. 2 options for Capital here. Snyder sends it through. It has a lot of topspin on it. It found the foot of Leonetti, but then was cleared out. Now Markham controls. Back to Snyder. Snyder controls. And now Ogden will help out as well. Markham facing a double team. Good move. And now Markham into a sprint. Gives it to Hart and went through Hart's legs trying to pass it out wide. Woodruff follows up. Estes back to Woodruff. Woodruff with the spin to control. Takes the shot, and it had a lot of spin on it. And bounces in front of the goalkeeper who makes the save, Katie Scott. 28 minutes to play. B-Dub nursing a 2-1 lead. And we mentioned Cap trying to just equalize this. A tie for Capital is enough tonight. Obviously, they want the win, but the tie is enough. And for B-Dub, 3 huge points if they win this game, and potentially could end up as the number 4 or 5 seed in the conference, not just get in. And that 4 seed would be the coveted spot there, so they could host on Tuesday night before having to go on the road on Thursday for the semis, as opposed to 3 road games in 5 days. Ball is kicked in front of English. She will header it away. Baldwin Wallace has done nothing with offense this half. It's all been just trying to keep Capital from scoring. And they've been successful so far, but it only takes 1. Here's Estes into the box. Estes. Oh! That's a lot of contact, sir. We'll let that one marinate there. A lot of contact, especially in the box there. And that ball was clearly going out of bounds. Unnecessary contact. And if that happened anywhere else in the field, I think there's obviously a whistle. But if there's a whistle there, it's a penalty kick. And you don't want to decide the game on that, I guess. But that looked like a foul. Avery Hart in the box now. Winding up for a shot. Hops through. Takes one now. It's a low one that is scooped up by Scott. 9 saves now for Katie Scott. That one of the easier ones. And now a whistle, a foul is called against Capital, and that's going to get this crowd more and more fired up. And Ogden is calling, and Ogden gets a yellow card, and the umpire show continues. Coach Ogden not happy, and he lets the official know, and now Hart has to walk over and talk to the bench as well. It's only going to get chippier, folks. They try to get control of this thing by getting Ogden there. But, I mean, I don't think he really cares about that at all. And I'm sorry. A lot of contact there on the far end of the field in the box. That easily could have been a PK, and it wasn't. And now a pass for B-Dub. They have a really good chance, and it's an extra dribble, and Lauren White makes the save. Oh, that's a really, really unfortunate touch from Farrell, Baldwin Wallace there. She was free and needed to shoot it, and she tried to take an extra dribble. It gave too much time for White to dive on top of it, and now Capital coming back for more. So now on the left side there, you see that group of students that's right behind the Capital bench. That's the men's soccer team that was all sitting in the bleachers, and they've all just now moved down. So that was a result of the yellow card given to Ogden. So if you think it was kind of rowdy here in terms of the crowd, and every time that whistle blows, there's someone unhappy here in the building. And it's only going to be more loud here through the end of this game every time there's a whistle because the students are right there. Kind of have that student section effect for this soccer game. Snyder kicks it into the crowd. The men punched their ticket to the OAC tournament earlier today with a win against the Yellow Jackets in Baldwin Wallace. And now they will try in Berea, Ohio, at Baldwin Wallace. And they will try to support the women now as they try to tie this thing up and win the conference. .24 minutes to play. And Baldwin Wallace still really hasn't done anything offensively, but they have at least gotten to. Oh, now they say that ball is Capitals. That looked like it was Capitals, and it was maybe signaled the wrong way originally there by the officials. I didn't even notice. I just assumed it was Capitals' ball there. Estes with a dive and a flailing attempt to keep that in play. And it's going to be a goal kick for the Yellow Jackets. So 23:30 to play. They still weren't credited with the shot on that last sequence there as White just played it away from that extra dribble of Farrell. Farrell really didn't shoot, so she wasn't given credit for one. So B-Dub still hasn't shot in this half, whereas the Comets are already at 21 shots, which means they've had 10 in this half already in the first 22 minutes. The Yellow Jackets just trying to hang on to this 2-1 lead. They are starting to at least get some possession on this end, and even if it's not possession, a counterattack or two to threaten the goal. That has been a new element to the last 5 or 10 minutes of this half. But other than that, it's Capital playing downhill at the Baldwin Wallace net and just trying to score. Ball's in the corner for Capital. Almost a corner, still almost a corner. Rice is battling in the corner for it. Rice comes away with it. Capital has parked the bus in front of the net, and it's dribbled out of bounds by B-Dub. Good defense there from the Comets. Hart comes away with it for Capital. They try to get it to her again, and Hart has it. She has 3 players around her that are not wearing the same jersey as hers, and as a result, B-Dub comes away with it. Now it's played forward by English. Estes trying to win a foot race with the keeper, Scott, and Scott gets there first. 21.5 to play. We just now have crossed the midway point of half number 2. It feels like it's been the last 10 minutes of the game for the last 20, as Capital is playing with that much urgency to try to find a goal here. Estes trying to get this one first, and a shove before Estes gets the ball, and that's going to be a throw-in for Baldwin Wallace. Still a heck of an effort there by Estes to prevent a goal kick. There was a lot of contact with Estes before she touched the ball, I'll tell you that much. 20:51 to play, and a throw-in from literally the corner of the field. Coach Ogden has had to take a walk after that last sequence. Ball's thrown in. Hart trying to get to it. Leonetti's there. Hart has it on the right foot. Sends it across, and Longano wasn't ready for it. Maybe just wide of her. And a throw-in coming for B-Dub. Another settle in the action here. Woodruff gets into the play. Longano and Ogden trying to help in the midfield. Longano wins it, and a foul is called against Capital. I'm looking for the changes. There's been no subs for Capital in this half. And it'd be interesting to see if they move Snyder up at any point. She's there as the anchor of that defense with English right now. That ball gets through, and White will scoop it for Cap. But at the same time, you need some offense here, and maybe Snyder can provide that last little bit of it. And you go to 3 defenders and just hope for the best in the midfield, but they're not ready to make that change yet. With 20 minutes left in the half, it makes sense, but we might see that in the next few if Cap is unable to tie this thing up sooner. Markham wins it for Cap. Markham sends it through, trying to find Longano. Pass was knocked down. Leonetti and Ogden in the midfield keep it alive off of Markham's foot, and now B-Dub has it. Rice being guarded by Snyder, and Snyder kicks it out of bounds. 19 minutes to play. Thrown in. And Snyder gets the throw in. Fakes a clear and now clears it off of the defense. Sent up wide now. Longano trying to win it up there. And controlled by B-Dub, now sent to the back line of Capital. English there. English with some help from Leonetti. Leonetti now out in front of Hart. Something developing here. Hart puts it down on the turf and is unable to control the bouncing ball there. Great ball by Leonetti, and Hart almost able to control it and win a foot race at the same time and avoid the keeper. Lots of her to have to do there. Ogden plays it back down. The subs for Cap are getting ready to come in. That's Elliott and Zagaro, who will replace Estes and Longano probably, if the normal rotation is still the move here from the Comets. Thrown in by a fan to resume play. 17:25 to play. Cap is looking for a hero here on senior night to win the conference. 2-1 B-Dub, despite a minus 15 shot differential in this game. Woodruff, forward to Longano. Longano doesn't have any help on the near side, and it's cleared away from her. Knocked down by Markham. Markham trying to win here with Rice. Rice wins it instead. Rice sends a pass, a third pass, and no one's home on B-Dub's side. That ball's going to go out of bounds, and that should be Capital's ball, but who knows? It is Pet Caps, and they'll have the subs come on now. Estes will come off, as will Lungano. And it'll be Zagaro to Hart's left and Elliott to Hart's right. So standard substitutions, standard alignment still here from Capital. They haven't mixed it up too much. Just the injury to Moore has forced Snyder to the center back position. And I think for how long? Until they unleash Snyder and get her more involved in the offense, because you need a goal. Beat Up trying to get something going, though, and they have Sydney Rice still, who's been a problem for Capital. And a stoppage called by the official. Oh, it's for Hart. Something's wrong with Avery Hart. She's stumbling a little bit. So an injury timeout was called there by the officials. Hart is not coming out of this game, I can promise you that. That ball is bounced to be kept alive, and now here comes Snyder. And Snyder just takes it herself. And you don't see center backs do this very often, but it's Lexi Snyder. It's not your normal center back. Snyder trying to direct Markham. Gets it back. And Snyder's just trying to make her way back to her position now. Ogden had filled that spot nicely, and now here's Markham bringing it in. Avery Hart has some room to her right. Markham feeds it through just a little bit too much out in front of Hart. And now it's knocked down by Pelletier. El Pelletier trying to get in front of it. Here's Sydney Rice. Hold your breath. Rice sends it out wide, and she has some help out there. A pass forward now to Mudge. Mudge gets taken down, and a foul is called against Mudge. 15:05 and counting. Ogden sends it clear now up the far end of the field. Lizzie Elliott, the freshman, trying to run it down. Elliott gets taken down. Goodness gracious. Another foul. How is that not a card? I don't understand. And they finally will issue one. It's going to be a yellow card issued. Frankly, lucky it's not red. I mean, it's not a red card, but another foul deep on this end of the field. There's been 12 fouls from B-Dub in this game, 9 from Capital. It's a lot. Woodruff with the execute the free kick here. They're saying to start the clock, but that's not how a yellow card works. The officials have to signal the ball ready for play. That's what starts the clock. And now Woodruff crosses it in. Leonetti was there. It's over her head, and now it's sent clear. Pelletier brings it back in. Woodruff has it again. Sends it in with the left foot. Finds Leonetti. And now it is knocked to midfield by B-Dub. Snyder back to English, and English sends it forward once more. Zagaro tried to turn and go, and the ball is knocked down again by B-Dub. Leonetti, Ogden, Leonetti looking for help, and back to Snyder. 14:10 to play. Cap still looking for an equalizer that would put them in a position to win the conference. Foul is called against Zagaro. So a free kick for B-Dub. And Markham looks behind her, makes sure she has room. Goes to kick the ball, fakes it, controls, and sends it to Snyder. That ball hit off of B-Dub. Nice job with the foot of Zagaro to control it. And now played it on to Ogden. Taken away by B-Dub again. And Bailey Hall has it. Hall spins one into the box. Snyder tried to clear. It's controlled. Wolfinger sends it in. Snyder again with the clear. And Snyder now in a foot race herself. Snyder turns and goes. And Snyder's across midfield. And now plays it forward to Hart. That ball's going to get to Avery. Avery brings it into the box. Avery cuts to the right. Hart with the shot. It's a fake. Now she moves to the right again. And too much dribbling. This ball's still free. And cleared away. Was waiting for Hart to unleash one. She never did. Controlled by B-Dub. And clear to Hall. Good defense by Markham to knock this thing down. Ogden with a double coming. And a ball that's kicked off of B-Dub. Good composure there from Taylor Markham. Good crowd here tonight. It's been a little hostile towards the officials at times, but it's been a good one. Actually, a foul was called. They're going to give Snyder a kick here. I think it was just off of B-Dub, frankly. I didn't see a reason to call a foul. There's been more contact, like here from the B-Dub player, riding into Ogden. No call. That ball goes over the head of Zugaro, who gets held up. Hart with the touch. Zugaro trying to follow it up. The ball is cleared off of Zugaro's foot, and almost like the Woodruff goal from Wednesday, that one almost went in. B-Dub sends in some reinforcements. Jillian Neal and Casey Gullipoff, both from the starting lineup, are back into the lineup now for B-Dub. Two to 1, 11:24 to play. Baldwin Wallace still has not registered a shot in the second half. Complete desperation mode for the Comets, trying to find the equalizer here. That ball is out in front of Rice. This is trouble. White and Snyder are there. White miskicks the clear and gets some help from Markham. Almost a tragic nightmare there. And instead, Rice will send it out wide. Pelletier trying to knock this thing down. A clear to the middle, and English will knock it around. A cross to the middle, I meant to say. Cleared by English. Here we go again. Capital whistles. Offsides was called. I was late. Offsides called on the other side for B-Dub. So Cap will send it into play now. First offside of the game for B-Dub for what it's worth. And for us, it's just a nice little break here in the action as we continue on. Lizzie Elliott trying to win possession now for Capital, far into the field. And a foul is called against the Comets. All right, sent forward now by B-Dub. Off the head of English. Markham plays it wide for Ogden. Ogden forward to Zagaro, who fakes and spins upfield, and it's kicked out of bounds by Baldwin Wallace. Lexi Thompson defending there. A quick throw in from Markham comes right back to her. Markham has space to operate, sends one through now to Elliott. Hart trying to control it. Hart gets taken down. That one looked like a clean play from B-Dub. I agree with the lack of a whistle on that one. And it squirts through to Scott, who picks it up and punts it away with 9:11 to play. Pelletier and English to control this. English, Woodruff, Leonetti, and another clean tackle at midfield. Physical game. Pelletier goes for the run up the far end. Pelletier tries to put it in front of Hart. Too much on it. And another clear for Scott after she picks it up here. Played upfield now by the Yellow Jackets. They have to retreat it all the way back to Thompson, and now Leonetti comes forward. Ogden controls. Cap keeping the pressure on. Sent out wide to Elliott. Elliott trying to go to the far side of the field to the sideline, and she was cut down, and now Elliott shoves down the Baldwin Wallace defender. Ella Barth, I guess more of a midfielder. Yellow card issued to Elliott. I'm on board with that one too. That's 2 yellow cards apiece, one for Ogden as the coach, and the first one on the field for a player in Elliott. Some frustration maybe coming out there. Free kick. Ackerman sends it forward. Controlled by Cap, momentarily at least. They try to send it upfield, and now this one goes to the sideline, and that might have been off Mark. No, it was off of Baldwin Wallace's Casey Goluboff. Looked like she tried to kick it off of Markham, and I guess it missed. Another one sent off of Baldwin Wallace. Markham with the throw incoming. Leonetti. Oh, that's a hand. Cap will get possession out of it anyway, and now they'll bring it back. They were trying to play the advantage there for Capital, and now they go back and call the handball. And I've been on the officials a little bit, but that one was played correctly by the officials. Let Cap get the advantage there, and you can always bring the play back if you need to. Snyder squares her hips and sends it forward. Misses the intended target, and it's cleared out of bounds. 6:46 to play. Snyder still playing as the center back, even though there's 6.5 minutes left, and it doesn't look like she'll play up at all here. Cottrell is looking to come in the midfield, and maybe she's the one that would replace Snyder as the middle back. They trust her as a defender. They could always move Ogden down as a defender too. Cottrell is going to come in for Elliott, I believe. Yeah. So that's exactly what they do now. They move Snyder up as a striker. She's going to be on the left side. Zugaro's going to be on the right side. Elliott comes out. And as a center back now is Cottrell, who we've seen as a defensive midfielder quite a bit this season for Capital, usually in a substitute role. So Markham will bring it up for Cap now. 5:46 to play. Markham pass to Hart. Didn't make it through. And now a miss kick from B-Dub. They send a cross back home. And now Rice has 5 Capital defenders around her. She's not able to win that. Leonetti over to Ogden. Ogden forward. Here's Snyder. Back heels it to Markham. Calling for it Woodruff. Woodruff sees her options. Fakes the shot. Fakes a pass. Dribbles into the corner. Fancy footwork. Sets up for the cross. Boots it off of the B-Dub defender. 5:11 to play. Throw in coming. Thrown in. Snyder controls. Back down now. And now Markham crosses. And a shot from Leonetti blocked off of a rebound on the header. Hart is hurt again, grabbing at her leg as she went to make a play on that. And it goes out of bounds. A throw-in coming for the Comets. Pelletier gets the whistle to send it back in. She had to back up and get a new ball there. Pelletier sends it forward. Nice fake by Hart. Oh, what? They call a foul there. I guess maybe a push from Hart. I'm not sure. Looked like a clean play by Avery, but the officials disagreed. 4:09 to play, and the Comets are running out of time. Ackerman to send it forward for B-Dub. She bombs it as far as she can downfield. Cap works to control, and they will with Pelletier on the far end of the field. Left-footed over towards Ogden. Header to Leonetti. That's Woodruff, actually. Woodruff bends down to try to control it, and B-Dub takes it instead. Stewart has it now. Passes, and no one's home. English will have to just get it away. Now Avery Hart has it. Hart trying to throw it to Snyder. Snyder gets the steal, keeps the play alive. Snyder now puts it in front, and it's going to go out of bounds. Zagaro had to wait onside, and Snyder's pass, too much on it. It's a throw-in for B-Dub, though, so not the worst. It's at least not a goal kick. Cap will work to pressure, and now it's going to be a goal kick as Leonetti blocked it out of bounds. Sent upfield. Headed by Leonetti off of the defender of B-Dub. Woodruff comes away with the carom. She sends it forward. Snyder trying to win it. Snyder taken down in the box. Where's the foul? Snyder is still hurt for Capital. I don't understand how that's not a PK for Capital. Wow. I don't know. Allegedly a good tackle from B-Dub there. Snyder completely taken out of the play. 2.5 minutes left. It's thrown into Hart. Snyder gritting her way through it. Ogden and Hart trying to connect. It hits off of the official now, and he calls a dead ball. Markham's hurt now. Markham hopping away from the play. 2:10 to play. It's bounced in, and Scott clears. One more run here, a few for Capital. 2 minutes left, but one more good sustained push is what they're going to need here. Snyder gets taken down again from behind. Snyder goes down hard again. A yellow card is issued. Ogden just can't believe it right now. Snyder still trying to just get her bearings here. She's going to take the free kick for Capital. She's been taken down hard now twice in the last 2 minutes. Cap needs a tie to win the conference. 2 minutes to play. Snyder sends it in. That's a good ball. It's loose. Ogden sends it over. Hart now controlled by Leonetti. It's cleared out. Good chances there from Cap, but not able to get one on net. Thrown in. Zagaro fighting. Crosses through. Hits a defender. And it goes out of bounds again. Throw in for Capital. Pelletier's there already to throw it home. Pelletier winds up. Sends it in towards Hart. It's loose. Woodruff controlling. Woodruff not able to get there first. Controlled by B-Dub. Sent down to this end of the field. English calling back to White to come forward. White has it. 1:05 to play. A ball that's punched through to Hart. And now cleared again. Cut down by Cottrell. Ogden has it at midfield. Markham has space. Markham goes forward. Markham gets out of that collision. Passes it to Snyder. Snyder's onside. Snyder takes the shot off of the crossbar. And it's still loose and out of bounds for a corner kick. 30 seconds left in the game. Snyder hits the crossbar and sets up a corner kick. One last try for Capital. 20 seconds on the clock. Woodruff crosses in. It's loose on the ground. Kicked forward into the net. Unbelievable. Capital ties the game. What an effort by the Comets to tie it. With 14 seconds left in the game, the Comets finally break through. I have no idea who scored. I believe it might have been Snyder, but I honestly have no idea. 2-2 with 14 seconds left. What an effort this half by the Comets. There probably should have been about 8 free kicks for Capital. 10 seconds left. B-Dub trying to do something crazy here themselves. Snyder sends it out of bounds. We're going to overtime here at Bernlohr. No, is there no? I think that's it. It's game over. There's no overtime. My mistake. So Capital with the goal on the shot from Leonetti, who gets credit for it, just won the conference for Capital. No overtime anymore. That's a recent change. And as a result, Capital has won the OAC. What a game. What a fight by both teams here. And a heartbreaking tie, if you want to call it that, for B-Dub. The entire second half, they didn't register a shot on goal. Capital had 12 shots in the second half, and it took all the way until the last 14 seconds for a Sophia Leonetti goal to tie this game, and it feels like a win for Capital. A brutal 2-2 draw ends the season for Capital, and despite having the same record as ONU, they will be the #1 seed in the OAC tournament on Thursday. Good luck tupping this game in any of those of the tournament, but we'll see if we can have an even better game than the one tonight in either the semis or the OAC tournament final, which could be here at Bernlohr on Saturday. What a game tonight. Unbelievable effort from the Comets, who again faced their first deficit all season in OAC play. And that entire second half felt like the last 10 minutes of a game with the amount of urgency that they sent at the net. And to come through with a goal in the last 14 seconds of the game, unbelievable effort by everyone on the team there. Snyder especially, given the fact that she was taken down twice in the last 2 minutes alone and still rocketed a shot off of the crossbar. They had a good chance of going in anyway. And then it goes off of Hart, off a defender, out of bounds, sets up a corner kick, and the corner kick hero lately has been Sophia Leonetti. And again, they tie the game at 2-2, but it feels like a win here tonight. And Coach Ogden giving a fired-up speech right now to his team because they just played just a gritty 45 minutes there to walk away with a tie. Wow, what a night here at Bernlohr, and we'll try to decompress from that. But your Comets are OAC champions. They share the title with ONU this season, but they have the tiebreaker for the 1 seed as well. And we'll see if they can win it in the OAC tournament final, where there won't be ties. We'll have some draws, or if it's draw, we'll go to overtime, and after some overtime periods, we're gonna have PKs. So a night like tonight, where the game ends, we would see another couple periods of action after that. And it's too bad we don't get to see them tonight, but a win for Comets in the fact that they get the tie and do the job that they needed to do to win the conference outright. Win the conference with the tiebreaker, share the title with ONU, but get that 1 seed. That was the goal tonight. Walk off this field with the 1 seed. They do just that. And we'll see if we can top it on Thursday. The opponent is to be determined still, so keep an eye out for that on athletics.capital.edu. After the game, a write-up of this one, and we'll try to break down what just happened.
Capital University women's soccer has clinched the OAC regular season championship.
There's the announcement of the championship here at the field, and what an effort tonight by the Comets, and that kind of just sums it up, to say the least. We'll see you Thursday night, 7 o'clock start. Our opponent is to be determined. Nope. 1 second, we do have an announcement from the athletic director. We'll try to get that over the mic as well.
Congratulations, ladies, on becoming the 2022 OAC regular season champions. I knew you could do it. I hate that I'm not there with you at this moment, but I'm looking forward to ringing the bell with you when I get back. So enjoy this moment, and we'll celebrate later. Go Comets.
So appreciation from the AD, giving the girls congratulations for what they accomplished here in this one. And we'll try again on Thursday night. Again, it's going to be a semifinal action in the OAC tournament here on Thursday nights. And if the Comets win, we'll see them on Saturday here at Bernlohr for a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. A 2-2 draw tonight, and a heck of a game here from Bernlohr. We thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll catch you next week for the OAC tournament action here at Bernlohr.